Next story on the list, Rainbow Six Quarantine will be out before April 2020. This is from Sharif Syed over at VG247. It says, although Ubisoft is yet to officially announce a release date for Rainbow Six Quarantine, the publisher revealed roughly when it expects it to release. Rainbow Six Quarantine was announced at E3 back in June as an early 2020 game. Unfortunately, Ubisoft revealed very little in the way of gameplay details and really anything that pertains to a release date. However, in the publisher's most recent earnings call via Game Informer, CEO Yves Guillemot said Quarantine will be out before the end of the fiscal year. In other words, expect it at some point between January and late March. This isn't like huge news, right? We've known that this is going to be early 2020. That gives you 6 months of a window. We've now narrowed that down to 3 months of a window. I really appreciate Ubisoft's strategy when it comes to E3 because I would say 90% of the time, outside of like Skull and Bones and Beyond Good and Evil, the games that they talk about at E3 we see before the next E3. I think like 2 years ago I made a milkshake bet for my prediction that every game we saw revealed at Ubisoft's E3 will come out before the next E3, and I think I got that right. Maybe that may have been like 3 years ago. I don't know. I've been doing this a long time, guys. A long ass time. But I appreciate that they show a game on stage and then they release it. You know? Yes, we have a handful of them that we have to wait around for, but they're really transparent when the games are far off. Like Beyond Good and Evil, they were very clear, like, we just want to let you know we're working on it kind of deal. Skull and Bones is an outlier in the sense that, like, I don't know how many people really want that game or especially wanted it the way that it was originally pitched, of just like, it's a pirate sim, you're just sailing around on a boat. I'm interested to see how that gets re-revealed. I'm super interested in Rainbow Six, though. Rainbow Six Quarantine. Because we're going to have these two games within the same franchise coexisting alongside of one another, with them still being pedal to the metal in the Siege scene. Like a couple months ago, Ubisoft came out and said, like, look, we're not going to release a sequel to Siege going into the next generation because we just want to carry over what we've been doing with Siege onto the next generation. Make it, you know, cross-compatible however we need to, and just continue on because we feel like we have something special there. I'm trying to think of another gaming example, and maybe you can help me out in the comments below if you're watching this over on YouTube or if you're hanging out over here on Twitch. Has there ever been a time where two games in the same franchise have existed side by side with one another with equal support, right? Like, I guess you could say like Halo Wars and Halo have been like that to an extent, but those are like so different, right? Like, one's an RTS, one's a first-person shooter. These are both going to be first-person shooters. One's just going to be PvP, one's going to be PvE. Like, how do you continue to message those things separately? Because at first, when until I went back and rewatched all of Ubisoft's conference, because I just had it on in the background while I was at work, I was like, wait, so is Rainbow Six Quarantine, like, is it a sequel to Siege? Is it like an expansion for Siege? Is it going to be like an in-game mode for Siege? Because I knew that they were wanting to stick with it. And then it turns out like, no, this is going to be a whole separate game. And they're going to just support these two things parallel with one another. Like, that's an interesting strategy to me, you know? And I know a lot of people just refer to Rainbow Six Siege as just Siege at this point. It's not, oh, let's go play Rainbow Six. It's, hey, let's go play Siege, which I started playing yesterday. Super fucking fun. I don't know why I waited so long. The game's awesome. But yeah, so it's coming out before March 2020, before April 2020. And it looks awesome, you know, fighting this alien infection that's come down. Seems a little out of the universe for Ubisoft. I mean, not for Ubisoft, but for Rainbow Six especially. But they do tactical so well. Like, watching pro play of that game is awesome because I always grew up wanting a game that needed like tactical play, and I would always kind of force my friends to play tactically if we were going to play those games cooperatively when I was a kid, because that's just the experience that I wanted. And they've really created that with Rainbow Six Siege. Like, you have to play that game really tactically in order to be successful. And I'm excited to see how they apply that to a PvE environment, because I don't think anyone has particularly nailed that, because there's always a way to cheese the system. But I think they understand that what they have that's special in Siege is its tactical nature, and they're gonna want to carry that over into Rainbow Six Quarantine as well.